If you are looking for some delicious recipes for the Easter holiday or just for springtime in general, in today's video, I'm sharing with you 10 of my top favorite Easter recipes. Everything from a small gathering ham to lots of delicious side dishes and a couple easy desserts in here as well. I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into it. Alright, so this is the type of ham we're going to work with today. It's hickory smoked, and as you can see, it's a little bit smaller. So this is perfect for kind of an at-home, small family style, meal, and it just will work perfectly, especially for our family. I find these over with the regular size spiral hams, sometimes with like all of the pre-made like mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, things like that. And then here are all the ingredients we're going to need to make our delicious glaze for the ham. So we're going to be using some maple syrup, some Dijon mustard. We're going to use some brown sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, and a little bit of nutmeg. Okay, so once you unwrap your ham, all you want to do is place it in a baking dish with enough water just to cover the bottom. And then you're going to wrap the whole thing really tightly with aluminum foil, and it says on the directions that you bake it about 15 to 20 minutes per pound. So I'm going to start with about 20 minutes first before I add the glaze, and while that's in there, the first 20 minutes, we're going to go ahead and make that glaze. So to a small saucepan, I'm adding some brown sugar, some maple syrup, some Dijon mustard, and then our cinnamon and nutmeg. And I just whisk that to combine everything. And once that comes up to a simmer, I'm gonna let it cook for about 2 minutes and then remove from the heat. So before the last 20 minutes of the ham baking, we're gonna pull it out and add that glaze. And you really just wanna kind of slather it on, be really generous with it. You can use as much as you want, but just slather it on, make sure you get it down on the edges and everywhere like that. And then you're gonna bake this the remaining time uncovered. Alright, so for the cheesy baked orzo, you'll just need 1 pound of orzo. If you're not familiar with it, basically it's just a little rice-shaped pasta. So this is technically a cheesy pasta dish. Just thought it would be something different to do this year. Also, you will need 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, some minced garlic. I'm using the lazy girl kind. It's never hurt my feelings to use that, so that's what we're going with. Some salt to taste. You will need 1.5 cups of shredded Parmesan, and then a little bit of cheddar cheese or mozzarella. I'm just going to use this blend that I have on hand, and this is everything that you'll need for this dish. So right now over here on my stove, I just have that whole pound of orzo cooking according to my box directions. It cooks for about 9 to 10 minutes until it's al dente, so you got a few more minutes on that. So while our pasta is cooking, we're going to go ahead and make the cream sauce. So to a medium saucepan, you're going to add 2 cups of heavy cream. You're going to add your minced garlic. You're going to add your shredded Parmesan cheese, only adding a cup at this point, and a little bit of black pepper. And you're just going to bring this up to a simmer until that Parmesan cheese is melted, stirring pretty frequently. Once the orzo is al dente and drained, we're just going to put it back in the pot and bring over that luscious cream sauce and pour over the orzo and stir that all together. At this point, you want to go ahead and taste it, and I actually do end up adding a little bit of salt to mine, but this is where you could add whatever other seasonings you would like, salt, more pepper, anything that you prefer. Once your orzo is combined with all of that cream and cheese, we're going to just come over and pour it into a greased 9x13 pan. And then on top of that, we're going to add the remaining 1/2 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese, as well as your cheddar cheese or whatever other cheese that you use. And this is going to bake also at 350 for 20 minutes. So if you time them right, the last 20 minutes of your ham and the orzo can go in at the same time. These are another church cookbook recipe. Have a little helper over here. She's got her shower and pajamas on, and we're gonna make some cookies. You ready?
Yeah, and also we found these at the store. They're little chocolate like egg things.
Yes, so we figured we would use these. The recipe calls for chocolate chips, but we found these little white chips that are little Easter eggs, so perfect for this time of year. Little Easter dessert idea for you. All right, so first we're gonna cream together the butter and the sugar. And 1 cup of brown sugar as well. Next, we're gonna pour in 2 eggs. Oh, wonderful. And then 1 teaspoon, whoa. Got a little extra of vanilla extract. All right, next we have a separate bowl over here with 2½ cups of flour. To that, we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of baking powder.
Oh, I thought so.
1 teaspoon of baking soda. And 1 teaspoon of salt. Put that in there, okay? Now we're gonna whisk all together. Okay, now we're gonna do this. We're gonna add our flour mixture, our dry ingredients to the wet. While I do this, pouring just a little bit at a time, okay?
Just tell me when to stop.
Don't pour the whole bowl at a time. All right, we have our cookie dough. So now, here comes the loaded pretzel part. We're gonna stir in about 2 cups of broken pretzels. And these are actually just the little great value, what are they called, like salty sticks. But that's what we're using because that's what we have. Next, we're gonna add some coconut flakes, about 1 cup. And then next, we're gonna add about 1 to 1½ cups of these little Easter egg chips. They're so cute, ain't they? Very Eastery. It looks literally like a bird nest in there.
It does. It literally does.
But I just really want to try this recipe because I love that sweet and salty combo. I got them all on the pan. Like I said, these are going in the oven at 350. They only bake for about 12 to 14 minutes. Okay, y'all. Can y'all see through my oven? I just cleaned it, so you should be able to see pretty good. These cookies are humongous and fluffy. They're not your average little cookies. These are like gourmet bakery style. I'm standing here as this like smell just wafts out into my face. It smells so good. While he is slicing our potatoes, we're gonna go ahead and start the cheese sauce. So to a saucepan, I'm just gonna add some butter. Of course, we'll have the recipe either typed out or linked down below. We're also gonna whisk in 3 tablespoons of flour and ½ a teaspoon of salt. Give it a minute just to get that raw flour taste cooked out. Next, going in our cheese sauce, I have about 2 cups of whole milk. Just gonna pour it in, continue to whisk. All right, so next I just have my little baking dish. You can use an 8x8. I'm not sure what this is, but it's a smaller baking dish. Give it a little spray. So we're just gonna add a few potatoes and then a slice of onion, a little onion ring. A few more potatoes, slice of onion. Obviously, if you're not an onion fan, you might want to skip out on the onion, but this recipe will probably be just as good without it. I'm going to continue to do that until we have our whole baking dish filled up. All right, you can see our sauce is starting to thicken up, but we are making a cheese sauce, so we're gonna need some cheese. So right here we have 1½ cups of cheese. This is just some sharp cheddar as well as some pepper jack. You can use really whatever kind of cheeses you want. Gruyere cheese would also be really good in this dish. We're just gonna dump that in, then stir. This will only take a couple minutes for that cheese to melt down. Most delicious little cheese sauce for our scalloped potatoes. All right, so before we add our sauce, I'm just gonna sprinkle with a little bit of seasoning. This is just the Kinder's, the blend, which is just salt, pepper, and garlic. Just add a little bit of that right on top of everything. Pour all that yummy cheese all over. it nice and coated all down in there. All right, so we're just gonna get this covered with full. I already have the oven preheated to 400, and these are gonna bake about 80 to 90 minutes until those potatoes have time to get nice and soft. These things look amazing. Alright, so for this corn casserole, it's a little bit different. We're actually not going to use any Jiffy in this recipe, which makes it different than any corn casserole I've tried before. But here's a quick look at the ingredients we are going to use. So let's put this together. I'm so excited to try this. Alright, so we're going to start with the blender today. We're going to take one of those bags of corn. We have been letting these sit out all morning, so they are pretty much thawed out. And we're just gonna add 1 bag of corn. We're also gonna add some butter, just a little bit of sugar, and we're also gonna add in 2 eggs. Now the recipe says just to pulse everything just a couple times, just until your corn is basically creamed. We're just gonna get it transferred over into our mixing bowl. So next to our mixture, we're gonna add our other bag of corn. This is just the regular whole kernel corn. And although this recipe does not use Jiffy, it is really just as easy to throw together. Next, I have some sharp cheddar cheese here. We're gonna add about 1 cup to the mixture. Probably gonna add a little bit more than that. That does not look like enough cheese to me. We're gonna add all of this and then put a little bit more on top. We also have, I think this was about 5 strips of bacon that I went ahead and cooked up earlier. We chopped. We're gonna add that in as well. And this is a recipe from Plain Chicken, so I'm gonna have it typed out below. Let me grab my cooking spray, give it a little spray real quick. Add in our corn mixture. Looks so good. How can you really go wrong with corn, cheese, and bacon, right? Get it all spread out. All right, I'm gonna scour my fridge and find some more cheese, because you can't ever go wrong with more cheese. I'm pretty sure this is either Monterey or white sharp cheddar. Either way, it'll be good. So let's just top it with a little bit more. You can never go wrong with corn casserole, pretty much for any holiday. All right, that's probably good. So we already have the oven on 350. This is only gonna take about 30 minutes to bake. Let's get it in the oven. Corn casserole, y'all, does that not look so good? Look at that. Yum, yum, yum. And I have a family size thing of cookies. You probably won't need this many, maybe just about 10 or 11, maybe about 15 cookies total, because you want a couple for the top for the garnish. And this literally takes about 2 minutes. I shouldn't even call this a recipe, but and I'm sure a lot of you guys already know about it, but if you don't, you need to have it in your arsenal because it's so easy and so good. Okay, so what we're gonna do, let me get some cookies out real quick. And I don't know if I told you guys this in the first video I ever made of it, but we used to always have this dessert, especially if we had like any type of potluck function at church. This is what I remember my mama always making, just because it's so easy and so quick to throw together. So it's kind of a little bit of nostalgia for me. And we're just gonna dunk the cookies one by one into the milk. Hey, and you can watch me. Just dump it in for just a few seconds. Drip off the excess. And then we're gonna put it down in the pie crust, okay? Dip it in there for a few seconds, get it all milky, and put it in the crust. All right, so we have 1 layer of cookies.
It looks like a flower.
It does look like a flower. Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, now we're gonna take about 1/3 of our little tub of whipped topping, and we're gonna spread that all on top of the cookies. And what's gonna happen over time, you do wanna let this sit, I would say at least for maybe an hour or 2. The cookies, of course, are gonna get really soft, and it's just like a cookies and cream. So I bet with the graham cracker crust, that'll be really good, because this part's probably gonna stay a little bit crunchy. We'll find out. Oh my goodness, Hayden is recording. All right, we're gonna add some Cool Whip. We have an extra tub in case. You gotta kind of do your own thing, ain't that right?
Yeah.
All right, we're just gonna spread them around.
If I get to film, I'll do anything.
You will?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, why don't you make a cleaning video of cleaning your room? No comment to that. All right, you ready to do some more cookies?
Yeah.
All right, and then you're gonna make another layer right on top of the Cool Whip. It's kind of like cookies and cream lasagna.
Yeah.
Second layer of cookies, and we got the second layer of Cool Whip going on. So we are gonna make 3 layers. So we're gonna do the same thing one more time. Cookies, milk on top of this one, and then we're gonna put some cookie crumbles on top and refrigerate it, and it'll be good to go in a few hours. So I'm gonna start by grating 2 carrots, and I am gonna use my little countertop grater here, and I'm using the fine attachment in there. And I always will have these little contraptions linked below on my Amazon storefront, but they make grating cheese and carrots so easy. Over on the stove, I just have 1 pound of elbow noodles. Cooking these up according to the package directions. You do want to make sure they stay al dente. So I have all of our macaroni noodles all cooked up, and I did go ahead and rinse and drain these a couple times. Pick your macaroni noodles up off the floor that you threw in the floor. That's in the directions. All right, next we're just gonna take some apple cider vinegar. You only need a couple tablespoons, and you want to do this while your macaroni noodles are still warm. I'm gonna drizzle that over the top. Give your noodles a quick little toss. All right, now I'm just gonna bring back over those shredded carrots. We're gonna add those right in. And toss everything together, and you just want to let this cool at this point. So I'm just gonna set it over to the side. You can even pop it in the fridge for 30 minutes, go fold a load of laundry, something like that, and come back to it. Yeah, or just sit on the couch and eat popcorn, watch a show. I like the way you think, Hayden. All right, now that our noodles have cooled down a little bit, we're just gonna add about 2 to 2.5 cups of your favorite mayonnaise. Y'all, do Blue Plate or Duke's, just trust me on that. But let me know your favorite mayonnaise. Do you like Hellmann's? That's okay, I'm not judging you if you do. My grandma, who I've talked about several times, that's the kind of mayonnaise she always bought, and she was the only one in our family who did that. Everybody else bought Duke's, but my grandpa always had Hellmann's. Like I said, 2 to 2.5 cups of mayonnaise. I don't really measure it because I always like to add a little bit more at the end anyway. We're just gonna get that stirred in a little bit. Throw some more out on the floor for good luck. We're also gonna stir in about 1/4 cup of milk. We're also gonna sprinkle in about 2 teaspoons of just white sugar, then a little pinch of salt, a decent pinch of pepper, and we're just gonna toss it all together. Then we're just gonna add a little bit of green onion right on top for some color. And I'm gonna cover this, and it really needs to sit in the fridge a couple hours to let all those flavors kind of marry and come out a little bit. But that's it. You can make this ahead of time. There we go, super easy. So we're gonna start by melting 4 tablespoons of butter in a large skillet. And then to that butter, I have 1 large onion that I just sliced up. We're gonna saute that in this butter. And by the way, I am having this recipe. I'll have the whole recipe linked down below, but it does make a really good amount in a 9 by 13. So for our family of 4, just on a regular old weeknight, I'm gonna have the recipe. So we are just gonna saute this onion in this butter just until the onion starts to brown a little bit, until it gets a little bit soft. So while those onions are sauteing, we're gonna mix together 1 can of cream style corn. Actually, we're gonna do half of this can. Next, we're gonna do half a box of the Jiffy corn muffin mix. And of course, if you're doing the whole recipe, do the whole box. I'm not gonna say that for every ingredient. And this recipe, y'all, is one of my favorites, but I actually haven't made it in probably a few years. I was gonna say a couple years, but it's actually been a few years. So I'm super excited to have it tonight. We're also gonna add in about 1/2 cup of sour cream. I'm just gonna eyeball that. We're also gonna add 1/2 cup of milk. Actually, I about messed up, y'all, 1/4 cup of milk, so I'm just gonna add about half that. It would have probably still been fine. The recipe calls for 4 drops of hot sauce. Just use your favorite, but we love the Cholula hot sauce. You can really taste the floral notes in there. My mouth is watering, y'all. We're also gonna add about 1 cup of shredded cheese, and I just shredded this up a few minutes ago. Use fresh if you can, but if you have bagged, that'll work too. We're also gonna add a pinch of salt, and then we're just gonna mix everything really well together. And also while I'm stirring this, this recipe calls for dill weed as well. And I happen to love dill, and I love it in this recipe. It is so good. However, I just know my family, and I think they will like it better without that dill. All right, those onions are about ready, so I'm gonna set this to the side and grab our baking dish. All right, those onions have started to kind of caramelize up a little bit, and we're just gonna dump those right in the bottom of this baking dish. Next, we're gonna bring back over that cornbread mixture, and it's going right over top of the onions. And y'all, this is probably one of the first recipes I tried out of our actual church's cookbook, because I love onions and I love cheese, and I was so happy I tried this. It is so good. I'm so excited to have this. Like I said, we have not had it in a while. So I actually forgot to save a little bit of cheese to go on top. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit more, sprinkle on top. And this is gonna bake in the oven at 350 for about 40 to 50 minutes. And I'm gonna keep an eye on it because this cheese could start to burn. But if I notice that, I'll just place some foil over it and we'll be good to go. All right, y'all, here's that onion corn bake out of the oven. It looks and smells absolutely delicious. Let's plate this up so I can show y'all just how good it is. I'm just gonna serve this up with some barbecue chicken I cooked in the slow cooker, and some green beans, and oh my goodness, I'm gonna turn it upside down. You can see those cheesy onions in there with that golden brown cornbread crust. Do y'all see this? It's a new hash brown casserole recipe to me. And so you start with the bag of the Simply potatoes. I use the ones with the onions, and you're just gonna put those in a large mixing bowl. Next, you add 1 teaspoon of garlic salt and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Next, I added in about 1 cup of sharp cheddar cheese, and I went ahead and stirred that around so those seasonings could kind of get all over that cheese and those potatoes. I also added a can of creamy chicken soup. I like to use the healthy request kind or the fat-free kind, but it really doesn't matter. And also 1 cup of sour cream. And again, we're just gonna mix everything together till it's nice and combined. Once everything is mixed up, I just place this in a 9x13 baking dish, and I spread it out into an even layer. I'm gonna cover this with aluminum foil, and this is gonna bake at 350 for about 30 minutes. And after that, we're gonna top it with something else and put it back into the oven. But first, just cover it 350, 30 minutes. And by the way, I'll have all my recipes linked or typed out below as always. After those 30 minutes, I just uncovered it and topped with about 1 cup to 1.5 cups of cornflakes. You can do as many as you want. Y'all know how I feel about adding cornflakes and crunchy stuff to the tops of things. And then I just melted about 3 tablespoons of butter and just drizzled that all over the top. And this went back in the oven uncovered for about 10 minutes. And like I said, this is probably my favorite new hash brown casserole recipe. We took it for Easter and my whole family loved it. I'm just using my trifle bowl here, and I've just added some whipped topping to that, and now I'm adding 3 little containers of strawberry yogurt. We really like these Oikos, the 000 kind. My kids even love them. They're super creamy. So you just add those in, any kind that you want, of course. And then you're gonna need 1 box of cheesecake Jell-O mix. You're gonna add that in, and then you're just gonna mix everything until it's combined. Next to the bowl, I'm just adding 1 pound of freshly sliced strawberries. And then I thought I would add some blueberries as well, since we're coming up on Memorial Day and the 4th of July. Perfect for summer. And then also, well, I'm gonna stir those first, and then I'm also gonna add some mini marshmallows. So this is the perfect little addition to your cookout side dishes. Just something cool and refreshing, a little bit sweet, got some fruit in there. Both kids and adults will love this one. After adding those marshmallows in there and blueberries and strawberries, I did go back and add a few marshmallows and blueberries on top. I forgot to save a few extra strawberries, but that would have been perfect as well. But if you've made it this far in the video, go ahead and leave me a strawberry emoji down there in the comments so I'll know that you stopped by. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's recipes. Let me know which of these you are thinking about trying for Easter. I hope you're all doing amazing, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye, y'all.